pay for flawed greatest good. At first glance, the aims of Scientology, and their focus on achieving the greatest good for all, might seem noble and altruistic. However, a closer examination reveals risks, hypocritical consequences, and inherent dangers in these concepts. Instead of truly striving for the greatest good, these approaches often contribute to a self-serving system designed to protect and financially benefit Scientology itself. Here we'll cover several points, as indicated below. Key points for discussion related to the greatest good. 1. Aim of Scientology. Understanding the overarching goals of Scientology, with clarity on what they really mean. 2. Scientology's 8 dynamics. Exploration of the 8 dynamics as a framework in Scientology. 3. State of clear. Analysis of the concept of being clear as the goal of Dianetics/auditing. 4. Tone scale. Examination of the tone scale used for measuring individuals. 5. Greatest good dangers. Insights on how the greatest good principle in Scientology is dangerous. 6. Lie for the greatest good. Explanation on the encouragement of lying as an acceptable practice to protect Scientology. 7. Financial barrier. The paywall associated with achieving the greatest good. 8. Feasibility of knowing the greatest good. Consideration of whether it's even possible to determine what the greatest good for all truly is. These concepts primarily serve to protect and preserve Scientology, while those who support Scientology might not see an issue with this. Gaining a deeper understanding of what Scientology truly is and how it operates can be deeply concerning. 1. Aim of Scientology. LRH said the aims of Scientology are a civilization without insanity, without criminals and without war, where the able can prosper and honest beings can have rights, and where man is free to rise to greater heights. Considerations and thoughts. While these aims sound noble at first glance, it's crucial to understand how Scientology defines these terms and implements policies related to them. Additionally, it's important to recognize how these concepts may be spun or used in various contexts to further Scientology's financial and organizational goals. Breaking down keywords and the aims. Insanity. Scientology defines insanity as a continuous determination to harm and destroy, unless the target is critical of Scientology. In such cases, they employ and encourage fair game, which ironically aligns with their definition of insanity. They are literally insane per their own definition. Criminal. According to Scientology, a criminal is anyone who is unable to follow orders or places Scientology or Scientologists at risk. Essentially, a criminal is someone who doesn't conform to the directives that safeguard Scientology or Scientologists. Furthermore, the Religious Technology Center of Scientology released an information letter stating, to in any way encroach upon the church or distract one from moving up the bridge to total freedom is the ultimate crime. War. Although Scientology claims to oppose war, they make an exception for waging war against those who are critical of Scientology, for example, through the practice of fair game. Able. The term able is often used to describe focusing on those who are more likely able to afford Scientology's services, indicating a financial bias in their focus. Honest beings. Scientology allows for deception/lies when dealing with outsiders, particularly if it serves to protect Scientology. This is evident in their concept of acceptable truths, which are lies deemed permissible if they safeguard Scientology. Free. Scientology's definition of free does not include the ability to critically question their doctrine, scriptures, or practices. Members know that doing so will result in punishment, including, but not limited to financial punishment, effectively limiting their freedom to think and speak openly. Their definition of critical thought is constructed to discourage critical thinking, effectively indoctrinating individuals to avoid questioning any concerns with Scientology's practices. Critical thought. 1. A symptom of an overt act having been committed. SH Spec 37, 6409C01. 2. A critical PC equals a withhold from the auditor. HCOB the 23rd of August, 71. Reinterpreted aim of Scientology. When reinterpreting using Scientology definitions, the aims of Scientology could be more accurately described as a civilization where criticism of Scientology is not tolerated, where those who challenge or endanger Scientology or Scientologists are silenced, and where war against Scientology is unacceptable. However, war against those critical of Scientology is acceptable. The able, those who can pay for Scientology's services, may prosper, and those who lie to protect Scientology are granted rights, as defined by Scientology. Man is confined within the boundaries of Scientology's scriptures, and excludes critical thinking. Summary on aims. In conclusion, the aims of Scientology appear to be a closed-loop system designed to protect Scientology, cloaked in terminology that, outside of Scientology's context, might seem noble and altruistic. 2. Scientology's 8 dynamics. Scientology emphasizes the concept of survival across 8 dynamics, or levels of existence, with the first 4 being 1. Individual existence, 2. Family existence, 3. Group existence, for example, Scientology, and 4. Existence of all mankind. The phrase greatest good for all is actually shorthand for the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics. In this framework, the third dynamic, group survival, represents Scientology itself, which is viewed as the only way to save humanity and the universe. Actions that benefit Scientology are seen as benefiting all dynamics, even if they harm individuals or families. This belief system justifies behaviors such as lying or donating more money than one can afford, as these are considered pro-survival for the greater good of Scientology. Consequently, public statements from Scientology or its members are often guided by this greatest good equation, prioritizing the protection and promotion of Scientology above all else, which can lead to intentional dishonesty, lying. 3. State of clear. The clear state in Scientology is a condition practitioners strive to reach, where the reactive mind is eliminated, and the practitioner is believed to be free from the influence of engrams, unwanted emotions or traumas that are claimed to be buried in the subconscious mind. This state is supposedly reached through the practice of Scientology auditing. Scientology claims that a world where everyone is clear would be free of drugs, war, pollution, crime, mental illness and other ills. The estimated cost of one person to reach clear is around $128,000. Scientologists are driven by the goal of clearing the planet, which they believe involves helping the majority of people achieve their state of clear. They view this as essential for realizing the greatest good for the planet, which in their terms means eliminating insanity, war, and crime. 4. Tone scale. The tone scale is a key construct throughout Scientology and is used to gauge someone's value in society or determine how best to control or communicate with someone. The concept is a vertical scale of points from -40.0 to +400, each representing an emotion or other mental concept. Practitioners desire reaching the highest on the scale, identified as tone 40 with the corresponding label of serenity of beingness, which could help contribute to the greatest good of all. In common Scientology parlance, a person that resides or moves higher on the tone scale is called uptone, while residing or moving lower is called downtone. Lower tones, Hubbard asserted, should be exiled from society. They also believe if you determine the tone level of another and adopt a tone 1/2 to 1 full tone above them while engaging, you are able to raise the tone level of the other person, which equates to controlling them. Several people have pointed to the following quote from Hubbard as being part of his vision of having a master human race, where the qualification to allow someone into the master race would be determined by how they measure on the tone scale. This quote from Hubbard indicates if people didn't measure up on the tone scale, then it would be best if they weren't integrated into society. The sudden and abrupt deletion of all individuals occupying the lower bands of the tone scale from the social order would result in an almost instant rise in the cultural tone and would interrupt the dwindling spiral into which any society may have entered. It is not necessary to produce a world of clears in order to have a reasonable and worthwhile social order. It is only necessary to delete those individuals who range from 2.0 down, either by processing them enough to get their tone level above the 2.0 line, a task which, indeed, is not very great, since the amount of processing in many cases might be under 50 hours, although it might also in others be in excess of 200, or simply quarantining them from the society. 5. Greatest good dangers. Douglas Hyde left communism after 20 years and delivered a series of lectures, which are transcribed in the book Dedication and Leadership. The following 3 paragraphs are excerpts, which have been highlighted by an ex-Scientologist to show the correlations of and represent dangers of Scientology propaganda. When you have succeeded in making men believe that change is necessary and possible, and that they are the ones who can achieve it, when you have convinced them that they and the small minority of whom they are a part can transform the world in their lifetime, you have achieved something very considerable indeed. You have put into their lives a dynamic force so powerful that you can bring them to do what would otherwise be impossible. The dull and humdrum becomes meaningful. Life becomes purposeful and immensely more worth living. Douglas Hyde. Dedication and leadership. If you ask me what is the distinguishing mark of the communist, what it is that communists most outstandingly have in common, I would say that beyond any shadow of doubt it is their idealism, their zeal, dedication, devotion to their cause and willingness to sacrifice. The vast majority of the communists I have met anyway conform to this pattern. Douglas Hyde. Dedication and leadership. Youth is a period of idealism. The communists attract young people by appealing directly to that idealism. Too often, others have failed either to appeal to it or to use it, and they are the losers as a consequence. We have no cause to complain if, having neglected the idealism of youth, we see others come along, take it, use it and harness it to their cause, and against their own. Douglas Hyde. Dedication and leadership. These quotes from Douglas Hyde, a former communist, illustrate the powerful influence that belief in a transformative cause can have on individuals, particularly when they believe they have the agency to effect significant change. While this can lead to positive outcomes, such as increased motivation, purpose, and a sense of fulfillment, there are also several potential implications and dangers. Manipulation of idealism. The quotes highlight how idealism, particularly among youth, can be harnessed by those with specific agendas. This can lead to the exploitation of genuine desires for change, driving individuals to extreme actions or beliefs that they might not otherwise adopt. Suppression of dissent. When a group is convinced that their cause is the only path to achieving a better world, it can lead to the demonization of those who disagree. This can result in a lack of tolerance for alternative viewpoints, potentially stifling open debate and leading to authoritarianism. Zealotry and extremism. The zeal and dedication that are praised in the communist context can also manifest as extremism. When individuals are fully committed to a cause, they may justify unethical actions, including violence or suppression of others, in the name of achieving their goals. Disillusionment and burnout. While the initial belief in the possibility of change can be invigorating, the harsh realities of attempting to enact large-scale transformations can lead to disillusionment and burnout, particularly if the goals are not met or if the methods used lead to negative consequences. Collective identity over individual thought. The emphasis on belonging to a small, dedicated minority that can transform the world may lead individuals to prioritize collective identity over personal critical thinking. This can reduce individual autonomy and increase susceptibility to groupthink. Radicalization. The belief that a small group can achieve significant change can also lead to radicalization, where individuals may adopt increasingly extreme measures to achieve their perceived goals. These implications suggest that while harnessing idealism and a desire for change can be powerful, it must be approached with caution, ensuring that movements remain open to critical reflection, diverse perspectives, and ethical considerations is crucial in avoiding the dangers of zealotry, manipulation, and extremism. 6. Life for the greatest good. Mike Grinder spent 46 years in Scientology, including an estimated 26 years as a senior executive, leading the Scientology Office of Special Affairs, OSA. In this role, he managed media relations, legal matters, government interactions, oversaw a great deal of Scientology litigation, and directed the destruction of those deemed enemies to Scientology. He, and others, have explained how Scientologists have been instructed that it's acceptable to lie, aka acceptable truths or sure stories, in order to make Scientology look good or conceal its involvement in something altogether, because that would all be for the greatest good. 7. Financial barrier. It is extremely expensive to advance in Scientology. After the first few introductory courses, having such an extremely high financial barrier to access information that is purported to help all of humanity raises several ethical concerns. Equity and access. If the information is truly vital for the well-being or advancement of the greatest good, placing it behind a costly paywall restricts access only to those who can afford it, which exacerbates existing inequalities. This goes against the principle of equity, where everyone should have the opportunity to benefit from knowledge that could improve their lives. Exploitation. Charging exorbitant fees for access to supposedly life-changing or world-saving information can be seen as exploitative, particularly if those seeking it are vulnerable, desperate, or have been led to believe that they cannot achieve success, health, or happiness without it. Undermining the claim. If the information is genuinely as valuable as claimed, making it inaccessible to most people undermines the stated goal of helping the greatest good. It suggests that the primary goal might be profit rather than the widespread dissemination of beneficial knowledge. In summary, placing a high financial barrier on access to information that could benefit humanity raises significant ethical concerns. It perpetuates social inequality by limiting access to the wealthy, potentially exploits vulnerable people desperate for help, and undermines the credibility of the information's value. Overall, this practice prioritizes profit over the well-being of society, which is ethically troubling. 8. Feasibility of knowing the greatest good. Determining the greatest good for all is an inherently flawed and ultimately an impossible endeavor. The complexities and interconnections within any given situation are so vast that fully understanding or predicting the consequences of any action across all contexts and over time is not possible. Attempts to define or determine the greatest good are inevitably limited by subjective perspectives, incomplete information, and the unpredictable nature of outcomes. Every decision is made within a constrained viewpoint, relying on partial data and diverse interpretations of what is considered good. Therefore, the claim to know what is the greatest good for everyone and everything is not only impractical but also deeply flawed, given the inherent limitations of human understanding and the intricate complexity of the world. Main takeaway. These points above highlight how Scientology's seemingly altruistic goals are, in reality, self-serving, financial exploitation and ethically troubling. On top of that, it's all based on a fundamentally flawed concept of greatest good.